Hey Bayek, it's me Ian, and in today's video I'm continuing my look through the Alfred Hitchcock Masterpiece Collection box set, and this is Topaz from 1969. This is another interesting Hitchcock film. There's a certain issues surrounding it, and we'll be talking about them. It is a Cold War thriller, and it's I think it's very good, but I can see why people have certain problems with this film. But we'll get into that anyhow. Now, it's 127 minutes long. That is the theatrical cut, but the extended director's cut is 143 minutes. That already gives you some idea of that this did suffer quite a lot of cuts for various reasons, but we might get into that as well, why this happened. Rotten Tomatoes give it 69%, which I think is pretty good, because a lot of the critics were really going to stick the knife into Hitchcock about this film. And they did, certainly for various reasons, as we can see. It was made on a budget of $6 million, and box office returns were $6 million, which is not good at all. Not good. I think, as I mentioned about the lengths, screenings were made before the film was released, and there was a lot of concern. Audiences were not really liking this. A lot of negative reaction, and they, in fact, brought about quite a few cuts and editing cuts, which I think may affect, in many ways, this film, and we look at it now. Also, there were 3 endings, yet the ending was quite controversial. And in certain countries, like the UK, had a different, they used a different ending to the American ending. So again, it's already showing you something about what is going on, that the audiences now are not going for this film as much. Anyway, the screenplay is by Samuel A. Taylor. He'd worked for Hitchcock before, Sabrina, 1954, and of course Vertigo, 1958, which is one of Hitchcock's greatest films. And he did the screenplay for that. It's based on 1967 novel Topaz, which was a Leon Uris novel. It was quite a big bestseller at the time. So that's another interesting part, how it's put onto the screen. Again, not everybody happy about that, but you can't help it. And as I say, as usual, it's directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Now, I mentioned about the test screenings, and I think the criticisms certainly do reflect, I think, in the script and screenplays. The script apparently wasn't really even completely ready when they started filming, which, again, it's not a good atmosphere, is it? And also, the other thing that you're going to notice is there's no major stars attached to this film. Again, did the public like that on the test screenings? I don't think they did. They like a star, they wanted James Stewart that they can relate to, or somebody like that, of that stature. They haven't got this. But maybe it was Hitchcock's previous experience with Torn Curtain that made him go in this direction. the particular problems as he felt with Paul Newman and Julie Andrews, he wasn't particularly keen on. I think there are certain issues there which reflected in this film's casting. The production started on the 25th of September 1968, and at the beginning of March 1969, it was concluded. Locations important in this film. We in Copenhagen, Denmark, Wiesbaden, West Germany, as it was then. Virginia, America, New York City, Washington D.C. Also Paris, yeah. France is featured, and of course Universal Studios. He's so comfortable now. He wants to seem to film a lot of things in the studio building sets, and the backdrops that he puts up when they're driving. We're seeing he likes to do all that kind of thing now. He's very much into that way of filming. At least one that he prefers. Some people criticize that way, but there we are. And the music is interesting because, now he's certainly had to, Bernard Herrmann is no longer involved in doing the scores, but we've got a very experienced score here written by Maurice Jarre. Maurice Jarre, he's got an incredible amount of films that he scored. He worked a lot with David Lean, Lawrence of Arabia, 1962, A Passage to India, 1984. There's Dr. Zhivago, 1965. And there's a film that I love, another David Lean film, which was Ryan's Daughter, 1970, which I absolutely love. He did that. He also did things that I didn't know, like Dreamscape is a film I absolutely think is fantastic. 1984, he did that. Also Witness, the Harrison Ford film, 1985. And, I didn't know this, Fatal Attraction, 1987. And it just goes on. There's a whole list of films. What a composer to have. Well, let's get into the cast. The cast is headed by Frederick Stafford, who plays Andre Duveur. Films that he was involved in. Obviously, we've got Looters, Battle of El Alamein, Shadows of the Unseen, and Werewolf Woman, both Italian films, horror films. Yes, we've got to have that, haven't we? Then we've got Danny Robin playing his wife in this, Nicole Duveur. Now, Danny goes back to 1946, and the film that stood out, she was in a Carry On film, Carry On, Lose Your Head, 1967. And this film, Topaz, was her last film as well. Then we've got Karine Dorr playing Janita de Coruba, face of Fu Manchu. In that 1965, when I hear Fu Manchu, I love it. And the first Bond film I ever saw at the cinema, You Only Live Twice, 1967. She's in that. Also in a film, horror, The Blood Demon from 1967. Wow. Yes, then we've got John Vernon playing Enrico Parra. Now, this face is so recognisable. You'll see why. He's in Dirty Harry. He plays the mayor. I remember Dirty Harry, 1971. Fear is the Key. Absolutely love that film. 1972. Charlie Varick, 1973. The Outlaw, Josie Wells, 1976. Clint Eastwood again. We got The Uncanny, which is an anthology horror film. Peter Cushing in that, 1977. Then we have a cult classic, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, 1988. And that is just a silly comedy film. It's a cult classic horror. It's silly, but it's good. It's good fun. And if you like clowns, wow. Yeah, but if you don't, well. Then we've got Claude Jade playing Michel Picard. I can say Picard, Captain Picard, but no, it's not Picard. And films were Stolen Kisses, which was a truthful film, and also Love on the Run, 1979, truthful film. Lots of French cinema films, yes. And then we've got Michel Subot playing Francois Picard. Notable films. She goes. They go back to 1955. Deer Hunter. That Deer Hunter, brilliant film. Absolutely love the Deer Hunter in that. Then we got John Forsyth, of course. Now he's a face that you will know. He was in The Trouble with Harry, 1955. Well, Dynasty. That's what he's well known for. So he hadn't worked for Hitchcock before, but of course he really became well known in Dynasty 1981 to 1989, playing Blake. He was also in Scrooged 1988. Yeah. Then we've got Michel Piccoli playing Jacques Granville. Now, he was in a very much famous film, The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, which was a Louis Buñuel film, very famous in 1972. It was a film that I've got in my collection, which I love. It's a French film. It's on Arrow Video. Le Grand Bouffon, 1973, which is a crazy, mad film about a group of rich people getting together and eating themselves to death. Yes, it's a weird, but it's wonderful. It's still weird. And that's it. Then let's talk about the actual plot of the film. It's set in 1962 at the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis. We see at the beginning a defection of a high Russian intelligence to the West. This all links up because the French intelligence agent, Stafford, he becomes involved in all this and entangled in what turns out to be, well, the discovery of an international Soviet spy ring. Yes, these Cold War thrillers really get going. And the film just unfolds and we get into everything about what is happening and how they're going to stop this and uncover it all. The conspiracy, you could see almost, where's it going to lead? And Hitchcock does a great job in building that tension up beautifully. It really does. It is, I think the problems with the script is, in some areas, particularly at the end of the film, you have to keep following it, because if you don't, you may get a bit confused in places. Now, I think that's why there was a lot of, sort of audience reaction against it to some extent. And though Hitchcock builds up all the tension, which is classic Hitchcock, there isn't any humour in this. Oh, incidentally, I forgot to mention it. 28 minutes in, we get the only little bit of humour that I actually see in the film when Hitchcock makes his appearance at the airport, and you see him, and you kind of smile when you see that, but there isn't much humour in the rest of it. I think it kind of reflects so much about this. The film, really, you could argue, is very much a European film. Just the feeling, the locations, the way it's filmed. It doesn't seem like a typical Hitchcock film, but yet there are brilliant moments which are very much Hitchcock, particularly when one scene where this Cuban woman basically is shot dead by this agent, this Cuban bloke who wants to save her from being tortured because she would be tortured. And that scene is very typical Hitchcock, where you see it with the cameras and fantastic. So there is very much his trademark Hitchcock in this, and it's great to see. But you do feel in places that it's not quite the same. But I think it's a wonderful film to explore, and anything to do with the Cold War is just, in my book, well, it's a good suspense subject, and you've got all the intrigue and everything about that, and maybe we've come to expect too much, I think, from all this. It's a typical sort of thing that I think happens when you've got such a great director as Hitchcock. He can't be good, reaching the heights all the time that he has done, because he's produced so many brilliant films, and therefore sometimes it's not going to be, it still can be good, but it's not those masterpieces, even though it's his masterpiece collection. But I enjoyed it. I think it's a good film, definitely. And Cold War thrillers, what is not to like about this period? There's so many really, fantastic scenes that do take place in this. And I loved it. I think I can see why some audiences would probably not connect with it in the same way. And the endings they didn't like, as I said, there's 3 different endings. But, that's it. So I don't think we should be harsh on this film. I enjoyed it. And I want to watch it again. Yeah. I think that's it. It's not something that you would say, oh, it's a one-time watch. No, I'll definitely watch it again. Yeah. So before I go, I always show you the masterpiece collection. We're getting about a bit nearer the end, I think, now. I don't know how far, but it is getting nearer. But yeah, enjoy this. Highly recommended. And so that's it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I'll let you know when I put out these videos, and have a look in the playlists and all that I've done on the channel. You can see all the rest of the box set. I've put them all in a playlist of the reviews of the Hitchcock films. Also, if you like this particular video, give it a like, so it gets it out to YouTube and algorithms and all that, and then hopefully more people might like it or not enjoy it. I don't know. Also, if you've got any comments, please put your comments down. I love to read your comments. They're fantastic. Really is. And I'll answer them. Yes. And it all costs no. So you can't say fair and that, can they? But you can't. So all I gotta say is, I'll see thee again.